Hey Run Junkies, it's time for another Throwback Thursday, but today I want to talk about something other than a race experience. Well, other than my race experience. If you've never done so before, one of the coolest things as an endurance athlete as we gain experience is to actually go back out, give back, and volunteer for a race. It was August 24th, 2013, and I had just finished off one of my biggest race seasons ever with my first half Ironman. That was only 3 weeks before, and I don't know how the decision came down or when it came down, but somehow the stars aligned and I was able to sign up and volunteer for an event. This is something I've always wanted to do, but between single motherhood and co-parenting and my own training schedule, it was nearly impossible to actually find the right weekend and the right race. August 24th is a special day in my life. It was my best friend Teresita's birthday. She was taken too soon by cancer only a couple years before this event, and as of this posting, she would be 45. This video isn't about her, but there is significance in that date to me. So there was something special about going out and giving back on that day. And on that day, I chose to give back where it all started, at the Irongirl Sprint Triathlon at Cherry Creek Reservoir. This women's only event had a field of just about 500 participants or so, and I was fortunate enough to be at the finish line handing out medals. The morning started out like almost any other triathlon morning for me. We're by the water, it's before sunrise, the music is starting to pump up a little bit, the DJs are playing the music a little bit louder and louder, and the athletes are bringing in all of their equipment. Body marking was going on, final checks on the gear, and race preparations were going on, but I started feeling a little bit nervous because I felt like I was forgetting something, like my own gear. This was the first time I had volunteered for an event that I was up this early without my race gear. As the morning started, even though I was at the finish line, I was still only steps from transition. And the first ladies out of the water were just flying out on the bike course. It was pretty cool to watch, but as is the case with medal duty, you're kind of standing around at the finish line for a pretty long time. But as those ladies started out on the bike course, it seemed like only minutes that they were coming back in to transition, getting off the bike and going back out on the run. Only a short time later, these first ladies were coming in across the finish line off the run. They were highly competitive, but one thing that stood out to me was that one of the first few women that came across the finish line actually did not take her medal. She said, just keep it, sometimes they run out. She gave up her medal so someone else wouldn't miss out. Turns out there were plenty, but this is kind of cool. Here's what I learned. It's always good to look back on the journey. Remember where you started, your first 5K, your first sprint triathlon. Do you remember that? That first time was hard, right? And you never thought you could do it again, let alone go farther or go faster. I watched women of all shapes and sizes cross that finish line. I could imagine what they were saying to each other as they were passing each other on the run. Saying things like, you've got this, you're looking good, you're so close, you're doing a great job. Because that's what it's like in a women's only event. It's supportive, it's competitive, it's inspiring, and it's badass. I hung the medals around necks of women who had infants at home, who just lost a parent, who just beat cancer. I watched 500 women find their awesome that day. I welcomed them to the tribe, I hugged them, I danced with them, I lost my voice for them. I learned that this journey is not about me. I might have my own ways of doing things and they might not be yours, but when we're crossing finish lines together, does it really matter? Here's what else I learned. The volunteers are the most important part of race day. It takes an army of them. Sometimes you get the cool jobs like putting medals around necks. Sometimes you are sweeping up paper cups and throwing them away. Sometimes you get to break it to athletes in 120-degree heat that you are out of ice and water. Really happened. Check this video out. They are the first line of defense. They are the intermediary between the participant and the staff. They don't have to care about you, but they do. They've never met you, but they will get up at dark 30, stand in the freezing cold while their hands are wet and practically cramping to hand you ice and water. They will get up early to watch you find your awesome. This is why I shout out at the top of my lungs, "We This is why I declare every single one of my race days International Hug a Volunteer Day. And I do. I hug a random volunteer, and sometimes it makes them uncomfortable, but sometimes they like it. I thank them. I take pictures of the volunteer that hands me my medal. This is why I always ask, if you do nothing else on race day, please thank the volunteers no matter what. Every race always needs volunteers. So if you are free this weekend, check your local race calendar and see if there's a race for which you could volunteer. Or just show up to that race, find the volunteer coordinator and ask, hey, where can I help? Anyway, that's it for me today. My question for you is this: have you ever volunteered for a race, and what was your experience? Please leave thoughts, questions, comments, and any suggestions for future videos in the comment section down below. As always, give me a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe. Veda may be almost done, but I have plenty more to bring you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for letting me share my story. That's it for me today. Get out there, go share your awesome. And until next time, happy running.